Oh yeah.
so I can see shit.
I think we're live.
What? We're live.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Well, welcome to another kitchen sink LIVEcroscopy. Um,
oh yeah.
mhm.
I am Casey motherfucking Rochford. And thank you for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe.
And I am Eric, bitch ass shit cunt Rosenblatt.
No,
Is
we're
that going to get us
demonetized.
demonetized? Demonetized. I just had to one up you. That's all. Well, okay. It was one word, so maybe it'll slip through. We'll see. So welcome aboard to our sailing adventure, sailing through topics and ideas and thoughts. Here we are once again, another live episode, and yeah.
Well,
I think
it is voting day, so we should probably do some topics surrounding that and just kind of riff off of that, see what kind of comments we get and stuff.
Yeah,
I
agree.
We've got a variety of recorded videos, short and long, on a whole lot of this stuff, but just to have kind of an in the moment discussion of one of our broader stroke ideas on the show.
Yeah, which that would be the category of politics, essentially.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I know there's a lot of people that are both excited and concerned about today. So,
and a lot of people like myself are just feeling a sense of apathy, I think. Just being beaten down by the system, constantly spoon-fed which flavor of bear dung you want to put in your mouth.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
The one
bro.
with blackberries or the one with raspberries?
Which are kind of the same. They're just a slightly different color.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be good. We had talked a little bit before about maybe following the U.S. election outcomes and stuff like that, but it'd go too long and probably be pretty dull for most people.
It'd be pretty dull for me.
It
would be like watching myself watching me watch myself watch golf.
Yeah,
like one of those.
It kind of is. It's like you're just looking at a bunch of numbers happening and like, okay, well, ultimately anything can happen. It's like the stock market. It could go up, it could go down. It's unpredictable, essentially. So yeah, I don't know why. I honestly, it's like I can't fathom why people stay up late to follow election results. Why not just like wake up in the morning and figure out what happened? Like, okay, I'll go to sleep peacefully, thinking things are going to be whatever way I want them to be, and I'll wake up and find out the horrible truth.
I did go to a bar when the Clinton-Trump election results were coming in because I knew I was going to need a beer either way it went.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, as it turned out, I had to have a very strong beer after that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then I lost at a game of pool to a one-armed man.
What?
That was awesome.
What?
That's how bad I am at shooting pool.
I mean, like one of the things that I've always said is like, if I went back in time and told myself the chain of events that have happened, after my pastime self's timeline, I would be like, no way. I wouldn't believe myself. It'd be like, what? Trump is president? That's not possible. That seems impossible. But losing a game of pool to a one-armed man is like, I mean, it's almost like, dude, that day, like whatever was going on that day, like holy shit. It's almost like it could be the foundation of like lyrics for a song,
Yeah.
you know.
You know what? I just had kind of an interesting meta thought. You know, people lose thumbs and shit on 4th of July, blowing shit up in the name of our freedom and stuff. And it's like, even when we're not at war, we're fucking blowing pieces off of people. You know, the country, I mean, it like as a kind of ego entity that it is actually like killing people on a holiday.
You know, that is true. That's a very
what a psychopathic country we have.
Kind of is. Well, I mean, you know, maybe there's pros and cons, I guess. You know, we're not the only psycho country out there. There's I would argue that most are in one way or another. It's just, you know, it's really easy when you live here in the US to recognize things and be like, oh, I can point to that because I've experienced it. Whereas you don't know what's happening in Romania, you know, like maybe one of their national holidays is rife with hands being blown off and people being impaled through the heart and stuff. You never know.
Oh, I mean, it could be worse. It could be like that movie Midsummer, the one that takes place in Sweden, and it's like kill people like as a ritual and shit.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
hell of a holiday to take your vacation out on.
Yeah. Oh, which is, man.
I think, the premise of the movie somehow.
It is. Yeah. I think like a couple goes on vacation. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen reviews and they're kind of mixed. Like some people love it. Some people think it's shit. I kind of lean a little bit more to the shit side, but again, I haven't seen it. So
I mean,
it might be good.
It's hard to do good horror unless it's a reality show shot in the United States. But it's more of a suspense, really.
Yeah.
And so like you don't have all that like crazy action and cities and car chases. It's like on a farm in Sweden, and you know, it's kind of chill and laid back, and you know,
suspense is like the proper foundation of horror movies, honestly. You know, people think horror and they think blood and gore and all this stuff. No, proper horror can be done without any of that. Like you can have a terrifying movie. It's all about that suspense and
the psychology.
Yeah. It's a psychological kind of thing. And I'd have to see that movie. I
actually liked it quite a bit.
And you know, this is the thing. Well, this is a bit of a deviant topic, I guess, but maybe it's related. I really, really, really love the movie Sucker Punch. And most of the critics hate that movie. When it came out, it was loathed. Like nobody liked it. But so recently I saw a review of Sucker Punch where they were talking about how terrible it was. And there were all these problems and production issues and stuff, and it really didn't make that much money. But I scrolled down to the comments because I'm like, oh god, there's going to be some arguments down there, and like pages and pages of people saying this is my favorite movie, I love this movie, Sucker Punch is the best movie, you know, shared it with my kids, they love it, like, and so yeah, that's the thing, it's like I don't know if the expert reviews, the people who do reviews for a living, if they're even the people to pay attention to as to whether a movie's going to be good or not.
I think they are basically 100% on payroll of highest bidder.
Yeah.
Because like their opinions are, everybody I talk to, they're the same as me. They're like, oh, I listen to what the critics like and I go see the others. You know,
whatever the critics dislike, those are the movies that you watch.
Yeah,
well, that's a good point, because in the industry, there's there's certainly a lot of cronyism, and I mean, this does okay.
Oh, this
I
does
feel
actually
like this
kind
does
of explain
parallel
how voting works.
this parallels with politics, and well, in many political things we've talked about, like lobbying and stuff like that. You know, we perceive. Oh, hi, Floyd. Yes, Floyd. He's got to
Long
make
time
his
no see,
presence known.
Floyd.
I know. Yeah. Hey, buddy. Hey, who's that out there? Oh, okay, never mind. He's like, I'd rather pay attention to the hand. You know, we're led to believe and generally perceive the critics and the experts as being impartial. You know, they're independent of the system, but you know, it's really hard to believe that when you see the results of things, like movie reviews and the articles and stuff. They heavily favor the movies that are being pushed by the movie industry, and same thing happens with politics. Like, nobody talks about any of the outliers who might actually have really good ideas, but just they're not mainstream enough. They're, you know, they don't play the game the right way. You know, Bernie Sanders, Ron Paul, those would be good examples of people who are kind of like, well, you know, we'll tolerate this person, but there's no way they're going to get elected. We can't allow that because that would totally upset everything.
Yeah, those are the people that they watch real closely, and they find some way to like bury them quickly. Like it, I don't really like have any kind of evidence of a conspiracy or whatever, but you could kind of see it in the beginning, you know, when they have a whole bunch of Democrats and then they start whittling them off, and you know, people go and vote, and it's like it was overwhelmingly Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, like 6 times, and everyone's like, Joe Biden's out, nobody likes him. Which all of a sudden the next day, and Bernie Sanders is gone.
That is interesting. I remember because I was paying attention to that because it was like a shit show. So who doesn't love a shit show? Right. So I was paying attention to that, and yeah, Bernie Sanders had like a huge margin of lead above everybody else, and Joe Biden had like a 2%.
Everybody saw the last election, and they were like, "Oh, we should have listened to Bernie." Fuck.
Yeah, somehow Joe Biden is the one that like got that. Well, and the same thing happened on the Republican side too. Like, you know, you always had Ron Paul. He was like widely popular. And Donald Trump, I mean, Jesus Christ, the guy is like, he's a character. And he didn't have any kind of like real traction. And you look at popularity, like, you know, Ron Paul was like this and Donald Trump was like that. And suddenly, well, he's the front runner. Like, how did that happen? What mechanism dictates this kind of state of being, I guess? Like, how does that happen? Like, is this, you know, people keep saying democracy. It's like, is this democracy if the popular person, the one that people really care about, is kind of thrown under the rug and forgotten about, and the person that's the in person is the one that gets the position, I guess. Floyd, you're kind of, this is bad timing, buddy. It really does kind of like make one wonder, like, you know, well, in a democratic system, the people control things. The general populace, by majority vote or choice, decides a thing, but it doesn't appear that is the case. If you look at things, the way things actually play out, it is kind of like there's an underlying system that just sort of makes things happen the way they want them to happen. Irrespective of what the general public wants. And then it's like, well, is that actually democracy? I would argue not.
No, I mean, at a certain level, it becomes a republic, which is also kind of a weird thing. It's like we have this like line that we cross where one thing is democratic, and then all of a sudden it has to be a republic from here on up, you know?
Yeah, and that is a little bit weird. Like you go to the state level and things are more democratic, but then you go to the federal level and it's more of a republic. I mean, that makes sense because the federal system was developed as a democratic republic system. So instead of having direct voting over every single thing, you vote for representatives and they decide the things. But it's like, well, if you look at the track record, the way they decide these things has nothing to do with us, like you and me. Like that isn't ever considered in their minds. It's all about the scratch that they can get. It's all about the control and the power and the perception of power, like over and over and over again. Yet people care so much about it. And it's like, dude, we could literally have a fucking chihuahua as president and the same shit would be happening. Like it would still be happening the same way it's happening now if our president was a dog. Like, does anybody not see a problem with this? Like
the problem I think is biggest with a republic is like the engineering of it all. You know, like if you have a clock that has like 160 gears on it and you're like, I could do this with 12 gears. Well, you're putting a bunch of strain on very few gears to do a whole lot of stuff. It's easy for those gears to go corrupt really fast. You know,
okay, that this is true. Now, it's also very easy when you have a direct democracy for people to be ignorant or manipulated or deceived essentially into deciding a thing.
How's that any different than what we're doing then?
Which I agree. Yeah, it really isn't. And like I get what the people who created the US system were going for. They were trying to reduce the tyranny of the majority. Like, you know, hey, the passions of the moment, people decide things, rash decisions that, you know, are not well thought out. And maybe we shouldn't have a system where that's possible. But then again, you know, when you reduce a population down to a fraction of its population as far as representatives go, well, you're in the same boat. They're not making rash decisions, but they're, like you said, it's very easy to target them. Like lobbying.
You only have one thing to corrupt.
Yeah, it's actually easier. Okay, so in a direct democracy where all of us decide, every single person votes on every single thing, every piece of legislation, every whatever. Well, you can corrupt people, but you have to corrupt a lot of people. Like it's a huge amount of work.
Why not make a true democratic republic where your representative is just someone you know and you trust their opinion? You say, I want my vote to equal Joe's, whatever he votes for, put my name on that too, you know, because that's someone you personally know and trust and have conversations like this with. And if you just don't feel like putting the effort into voting, like half the time I vote, it's because I don't want to vote without researching them. And I don't have the time in my life at that point. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to just fill out a ballot on like flipping a coin kind of principles, you know,
or just like, you know, D's or R's, check all the check boxes for your team or whatever.
Yeah. That's not me. That's not how I'm going to vote.
It's totally nonsense. But yeah, you're right. Like it's a challenge to research all that and figure out what's going on and who
just
somebody
let
is.
people vote how they want to vote. Like, I get so pissed off when people are like, you're not voting? Oh my God. Well, you're a like stain on democracy. And it's like, this isn't a fucking like Catholic church. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If
like,
you don't
we don't have
or
to
you
do
don't
everything
like
the
eat
same
the blood
way.
of Christ
Ugh.
or drink the blood of Christ. Yeah. Like, well, that, and the thing is, like, non-participation, not voting is a vote in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I have no faith in this system, I choose not to select any of those. I don't want the shit burger and I don't want the turd hot dog. Like, those are my only two choices. If those are the only two choices, I choose none of the above. I'm not going to eat anything.
That's a great Duran Duran song, by the way. None of the
Which
above.
is, oh no, oh yeah, oh, that's a really good one.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we got
a comment. Our right to vote is also our right to not vote. Just like freedom from religion and the freedom of religion.
Yes.
Like, you can do whatever you want or do nothing. That's exactly right. It just baffles me. Like, people are so ingrained in this idea that it can only go this way or that way. Yeah. And if we all just decided to like do whatever we want to do on the ballots, there's a chance, however slight, that the government might be like, you know what, there's a huge bell curve here. People want to do it this way. Why don't we try that out and see what happens?
Mm-hmm.
That could happen.
It could.
It probably won't, but like, why not try that?
that isn't well, and I'm all for like the scientific method. Like, we should be testing things and seeing what actually works and what more closely aligns with the public's wishes and will. Right. Well, like what you were saying though, that it got me to thinking. You have to vote this way or that way, or you have to vote, otherwise, well, you're I don't know, throwing away your vote, or you're anti-democracy or something like that. Well, that's kind of akin to Christians and Muslims saying, well, you know what, you have to pray. You it doesn't matter, you just have to pray. Which it's like, well, if you don't believe in a higher power, an ultimate deity, why would you pray? It would be a futile measure. And honestly, me being the person I am, I kind of look at politics in the same way. Like, it's futile to pray to the gods of the state to make things better, because, well, they haven't. I mean, we have all kinds of terrible things that have happened to human beings, wars and atrocities and slavery and destruction, and like, at no point has anything other than maybe the Apollo mission been like a good thing where you could be like, oh yeah, the government did something altruistic for a change. And even then, it had a military foundation too, by the way. Yeah.
I just had two epic ideas for conversations that are going in totally different directions. I gotta pick a road to go down. So, speaking of the scientific method of politics, you got to keep your mind open to the fact that there may be different types of voting that produce better results as far as like what the majority of those type of thinkers would do in a situation. Like, natural disasters might be best handled by people who like ranked voting, and war might be best handled by people that just like the old ballots or whatever, they're like plug and chug people.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have better results in things akin to war, voting on those things in that way, and then voting a completely other way on issues that are handled with different tact.
Actually, that makes sense. You have circumstantial voting. So it kind of depends on like what is going on and the circumstance you're dealing with that dictates the methodology that you employ.
Right. We built countries as robots. Now we need to start thinking of AI. Make the country itself be smart and adaptable.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting idea.
You can't have rigid laws and expect to adapt.
This is true. Yeah.
That sounds very anarchist, doesn't it?
It kind of does. Yeah. It kind of, well, so again, welcome to the club.
I mean, there's so many parallels actually, you know, in our ways of thinking when it comes to that. That is an interesting thought experiment.
Well, and that's important. Like the recognition of that is really important because, you know, goal oriented, task oriented structures, like what do we hope to achieve? Like, okay, maybe we don't necessarily agree on the exact process, but we agree on the goal. Like ultimately we want the same thing. And I don't care how that is achieved. I know that there's a lot of things that need to be achieved, problems that need to be solved. I don't care if you're right or I'm right. It doesn't matter. Like what matters is the problem is fucking solved.
Yeah.
Politicians have a track record of not solving problems. In fact, they exacerbate the problems and they become worse. Like, yet people keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, keep voting and keep, you know, like playing the game and flying their team flag as like, oh yeah, we have the right way. And I'm like, you know, you might as well have like you might as well be waving crosses and the crescent moon thing and stuff like that.
Yep.
And stuff like it really it's as effective as that.
That's true. And even among religion or political ideas, they're all believing the same bullshit. They're just telling different stories.
Yeah. Well, very true. Oh man,
that's a little blunt maybe for some people, but because people treat their political ideology the same way, with the same fervor and, you know, defensiveness as they do their religion.
And actually, yeah, the emotional side, like if I guess a litmus test to see if you're religiously political would be if you get emotionally reactive to somebody challenging your political team's views or whatever. That would be a sign that you're verging on religiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I cut people slack a little bit because it's a lot easier to change your mind when there's quantifiable data in front of you. Like a fact that you thought was real is being challenged by a more correct fact, which it actually makes sense in science.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
And so when you get into ideology, you don't really have that. So there's a whole lot more room for people to have to rely on what somebody else tells them. And they say it like it's truth to them. And that confidence inspires in you this like laid back, low hanging fruit kind of, I'm going to believe this because they seem really confident, you know, like that's what you get. And that's how religion is born, you know.
Well, yeah, and cults too. I mean, it is a little bit similar to
oh wow, you know, this is really good chocolate mint stout by Guinness. Ooh. It's like those Christmas mints in my mouth.
That's what, hey, do that and have these conversations and don't vote. And that's my advice. Like I have a lot of thoughts about what you were saying. but yeah, I think I, I am a spiritual person. Like I do believe in something, like the force, I guess.
Yeah, I am
But
too. Yeah.
but I don't believe that God has a name. That's my thing, I guess.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to mention off of previous idea. I think you were saying, oh yeah, like the politics is like praying to a god, and what would be the point in
Mhm.
praying to something that doesn't exist or whatever. And um, for the first time in 20 some years, probably not too long ago, uh, being still to this day an atheist, I did pray
Mhm.
because someone that was very close to me needed it. And then I didn't just say, "Oh, I'll pray for you." I did,
Yeah.
I'd like, and she won't know whether or not what, I actually did, but you know, she takes it on faith that I did when I say I did.
I, I can respect that a lot, like
Yeah.
that, because as an agnostic, like I would do the exact same thing. Well, I'm an agnostic atheist. If
Yeah.
that
That's all
really
shades of gray.
differentiates anything, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't believe there is God per se. Um, but I would certainly, if somebody needed it, they were going through some really tough stuff, somebody's dying or in pain or whatever, yeah, I would
Yeah.
happily sit down and pray with somebody. I put aside all my, you know, my own beliefs and
Yeah.
just be in their own beliefs
This is
for
a
their own
great
good.
this is a great teaching moment for cognition, like
Mm-hmm.
exercising your cognition. The prayer was actually answered, but I did not allow myself to say, "Oh, that must have been magic," because there are actually way more explanations for how that could have come to be, whether or not I had prayed.
Yeah.
And that knowledge that whatever it was I wished really hard for, it's no different than buying a Powerball ticket or whatever and being like, I might win.
No, you're yeah, you're right.
You probably got better odds of getting a prayer answered.
And when it comes to dealing with people going through rough times, comfort is
Yeah.
really important. Just having somebody there to comfort you, you know, like I have friends of all walks of life, all political spectra and faiths and things like that. And, my Mormon friend is like, hey, would you pray with me? I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that. You're going through cancer or something like that. Yeah, I'll pray with you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't believe it's going to do anything, but comfort, that having somebody beside you, having somebody having your back, like,
Well,
might be the turning point. That might be the difference between life and death.
yeah.
Uh,
MASH, we always say how great a show that is, but one of the things I loved is that Father Mulcahy was always like, I'm a Catholic, but I'll be Jewish today.
yeah.
Like he was flexible in
Mm.
and his particular flavor of thought is one of the most strict that there is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see that strict religion being loosey goosey and like, oh, today I'll be Jewish and I don't have to worry about like having to do the catechism and the reconciliation and the affirmations and
Exactly.
yeah, I mean that was super cool. I think like
I agree. Like that I always loved that character. Radar was also one of my faves too.
yeah, and I
Oh,
mean probably that's just a military thing. They're like, it doesn't make sense to have like go and try to find recruits that are like clerics for the Amish or whatever.
or
Why don't we just find people that are willing to do it all?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it comes again, it comes back to like the whole comfort thing. Like
Yeah,
you want to know that somebody is caring about you, that somebody with a presumed connection to a higher power is speaking to you and channeling things. And I mean, yeah, maybe it's bullshit. It could be, but in the moment when you're going through some of life's worst moments, it definitely it helps.
I mean, on a physics level, positive thought, maybe on some quantum level, actually does affect its surroundings. And there's this like domino effect from that, kind of like we've been talking about, where like religion is born of trusting what other people say as if it were a fact, even though it isn't, right?
Yeah.
And you could translate that into I mean, thought affecting physicality, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe thought can change ever so temporarily, the polar charge of an atom or something, and then that creates a cascade effect that triggers more positive things. I don't know. Like,
well, no, you're onto something. I mean, the butterfly effect is like
yeah,
a real thing.
like quantum physics is a mind fuck, but you know.
Yes, it is. Oh, the what is it? The double slit quantum eraser experiment. Like, oh my God. If you want to like not sleep for days, look that shit up. That is,
but not on Pornhub. Double slit means something completely.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. You look it up on proper scientific things like YouTube, right?
Everyone's like, oh, it's time to do my research. Time to go to Pornhub.
Might have just been watching a video about double slits. Anyway, yeah. Well, I feel like there are parallels between politics and religion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in that regard, it doesn't make sense to play that game. I mean, the war games, strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
There's like things about voting that have to be done. Decisions have to be made, actions have to be taken, and people have to kind of generally sort of agree on them.
Okay, yes, you're right, but not every action and decision has to be made. Some of those are artificially constructed as we have to do this when, well, everything was fine.
Right.
And now you're proclaiming that this is a problem that needs to be solved, but conveniently, you're the one that stands to benefit when this solution comes into play.
Well,
I believe so. Just as a little aside, my personal belief is like I don't believe in the whole national grand scale kind of decision making and stuff like that. I think that's nonsense. The changes, the things that need to happen, the things that affect people's lives happen locally. And the only way to make that happen is not to take a piece of paper and put an X in a box. Like the way to do it is to actually do it. Like change the world around you. Like interact with your neighbors, interact with the people around you. Like that makes things happen. Like that actually makes a difference. But all the billions and trillions of dollars that we've spent, all the wars we've waged, all the shit that's been built and destroyed, like when has it ever solved any kind of problem that relates to you as a human being? When? I would argue never. I mean, maybe
it does happen, but it's a lot like the Powerball,
it's very rare.
You might actually have something go your way regarding the government. And you might feel then like your answered prayer is all the data you need to feel that you are super likely to have that happen over and over again. And you're disappointed almost daily, yet somehow still keep that faith.
Yeah, exactly. Your team keeps losing football games, but yet
Right.
you still rah 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 wave the flag like, oh, the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, prayer is
okay,
like
that's
being a
never going to
Mariners
happen.
fan. Like,
Yeah.
still the only team that hasn't won the World Series. But I have a Mariners hat, a couple Mariners shirts.
And I get it. Like, that's fine, but objectively, when you objectively look at these people, are they like you? Do they truly represent you? Like, I have looked at the voters pamphlet and stuff in Washington State, and it's like, yeah, these are all millionaires, they're all well-to-do, and they just want a vote so they can, like, I don't know, do whatever they want to do. Like, they're not gonna truly represent me. They're not gonna be my voice out there. I have to be my own voice. And in that, like, yeah, I just can't get behind it. I can't get motivated, because how? Like, I just go back to my something I think we talked about, but probably, oh geez, in season 1, like a lottery for voting.
Yeah.
Like, because
I wanted to bring my ballot out, because this is also something people don't think about. I looked at the back of the ballot, which is mostly for judge positions. Each and every one is uncontested. Why am I going to fill that out?
Why even have a box if it's uncontested?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, seriously, what the fuck? Like,
and how
it's almost like there should be like a pool of people selected to be up for promotion to a particular position, right? Yeah. Like, oh, hey, you 6 people, I'll think a little differently about things, but you're all really good at what you do. Why don't we put you up for vote? Like,
that's a good point. And well, okay, so as regular people in the US, we're generally called upon for jury duty on occasion, which pays like shit. What is it, $50 a week or something like that to be a juror? I did it once and I will never do it again. I'm just saying, never going to happen. Jury nullification, that's going to be my ticket out of there. But why can't the same thing apply to every other position? Why can't it be like you just get a letter in the mail saying, hey, you're a senator if you'd like, and if you opt out, like, or say, hey, well, I can't because whatever these reasons, then It goes down to the next person. There could be like a list of people who are options, and then eventually somebody will be, but I would love to see, if we're gonna have a democratic republic, a representative government, we should have one that is truly representative, a cross section of the population. Crocs. That Freudian slip, I guess.
We have a lightning round.
Yeah. A cross section, a cross section of the populace. Like, I would like to see crack addicts and homeless people, and maybe you've got like a business owner over here, you got somebody that works at like McDonald's over there, and well, they're your representatives, which makes sense. And maybe limit the term so it's short, so it's not too long.
But you touched on a good point. Like, it should be a pool of people that could probably do the job, because like, if you're running infectious diseases, you're not going to want a plumber. Like, you actually want people who kind of know Well, I mean, you want like a pool of actual experts.
Well, okay, so that I agree. However, if you look at the congressional track record, like
I'm
they
not
don't
saying
even
it
know what the
works
internet
currently.
is. They don't even know what the internet is. Like they they can't wrap their heads around like a keyboard
Yeah, but
and a
I mean
mouse.
that's not the premise as the government is built now. It has
Mhm.
jack shit to do with being the best in your field. There's
Yes.
to my knowledge, there's nothing written into the Constitution or any of the Federalist Papers or anything about actually being good at what it is you're supposed to be doing for the country.
No, you're right. That this is true.
Which is
And
maybe
that
a
is a
little bit of an
problem.
oversight.
I would say so because you know, because I brought this up to people in the past, and they're like, well, if you had like a homeless person as a senator, well, they'd be all like all over the place and all crazy, and they do some crazy things." And I'm like, but they're already doing crazy things. Like, what would be different? You know?
You have to look at all perspectives when you're approaching a problem. Like if you
Yeah.
see a hole in the wall, are you just going to like bend down as least as possible and just put some tape over it? Or are you going to like get around and inspect the damage and stuff? You're going to have to get down below things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want the perspective of people that are down below the economy, down below society, just as much as you want to look down from above.
Very true. And I think maybe a hybrid solution would be good. Although the lottery system would ultimately provide that over time.
But well, I see where you're going with that. Like certain problems arise that can't just be solved by one department of thought, right? Like you have to work together as different teams and stuff, right? So like there could really be tiers of how decisions are made as a global population. New world order.
I mean, yeah, globalists are taking over. But it's true that we are a global system. Well, like at this point in time, we are a global system. Like we have to accept that and understand that like all of our decisions are reflected across the planet. And that's really important. And we have to consider that. And when you look at at least the US political system, it's very US centric. It's very kind of kept in a little ball of just US stuff. And it's like, well, do you know all this other stuff that's going on out there? Like we're on the verge of nuclear war. Like World War III is about to begin. The Russia-Ukraine war, China's going to invade Taiwan. The shit is happening in Iran. Like,
it's natural to pay attention to your immediate surroundings, but the U.S. treats its borders like the treehouse that says no girls allowed or whatever. You know, like we're very much sticklers for like what we'll pay attention to and what we can't be bothered with, and that's just not the way to interact with everybody on the playground, you know?
No, you're right. And I think we do that to our detriment. And it's a propaganda-based kind of thing. Like it's built on propaganda. Like when I worked for a particular company I worked for, we hired people from Mexico who were of dubious U.S. citizenship. But these were some of the most hardworking, awesomest people that I've ever worked with. And like prior to that, I was of the mind that like, oh, we've got to have borders and stuff. After that, like, I'm like, man, we need more of these people.
Oh, you know what?
This country is going to be fantastic. We bring more people across the southern border.
Like, I want to give a free plug to a nonprofit in this area called Casa Latina. They take They say it in a really crafty roundabout way in their brochures that they take illegal people and give them honest work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't call them illegal people because that's a bullshit term anyway. But
it is.
you know, they also don't want to get into trouble. But they're basically taking people and like throwing them a life raft and saying like, hey, here's some good work. And it's like a really super reasonable amount, but it's also not as dirt cheap as like going to Home Depot. But that's a good thing, I think, because it's allowing people to come in the front door, like to knock and be like, I swam here. I don't have anything. Can I please use your phone kind of approach rather than like sneaking in the backyard and drinking out of your garden hose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I can see the argument for where people are like, oh my God, like people coming into this country are like rats or something. It's like you do what you have to do.
True.
Anyway, that's a digression.
But no, I get where you're coming from, though.
Yeah, Casa Latina though is pretty awesome because those guys do really good work, and you know, they make a decent wage, but you can also save a little money that way and help people, help human beings.
Yes, we exist not as countries. We inhabit spaceship Earth. Earth is our spaceship, and the borders are just imaginary lines that somebody drew a long time ago, and we still apparently care about them. Even though everybody has moved all over the place. Why that is a problem, I don't understand. Like, because in the US, everybody's all like, well, people, the southern border and stuff. Like, you know, we need fresh minds, like young people with new ideas coming over here and like building new stuff. That is what this country was actually built around. We are Babylon 5 here. You know, we're Deep Space Nine. And that's a good thing. Like, that's one of the strong points of this country. That is what makes this place awesome. The
Babylon 5 statement makes me think we should use our show in that way. We should just go on other small shows and just have conversations like this. And then the kitchen sink microscopy idea will grow like kind of exponentially, probably. You know?
I would think so. Oh man, that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that idea.
Like, yeah. Why spend money on marketing when all you need is a good idea
and a good conversation, which obviously we're pretty effective at
yeah, this is like one of the best damn episodes. Holy shit.
Like, we're on the cusp of solving every problem. Like, all the politicians over the last 40 years have not been able to do what we're doing right now.
I wonder if anybody else experiences a convergasm, for lack of a better word, you know, like a conversation that's so good. You're just like, oh.
Oh man.
I mean, that's I don't know. You know, the what do they call them? Sapiosexuals. We're probably like few and far between, I guess. But like, there's just something really attractive about, and in a non like gay or straight way, right? Like something really attractive about having a good conversation with another human being.
Yeah, especially one that like results in actual solutions and traction, like solving problems, because that is, you know, my engineering mind is kind of all about that. Like, I see problems out there and I see people saying there are problems, and I see nobody actually solving those problems, just running through the motions over and over and over again, like essentially praying to the gods to solve their problems, and they're not solved. Like, well, because I have ideas about like homelessness and stuff like that, the addiction and mental health issues that exist out there. Like, I want to actually solve that. I don't want platitudes. I don't need fame. I don't need some kind of somebody telling me that I'm great. Like, I see problems and I want to solve them, and help people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We all have that capacity. This is the thing. Like, you might not on your own be able to do all the things that you would like to do, but together we can do all of those things if we cast aside all the nonsense that is politics and religion and stuff. Okay, some religious things I'm okay with. They do a little bit of good, depending, but
I don't know if it's a cause and effect thing.
You're right. Yes, you are correct.
Like, those good things might still happen for other reasons.
Well, and I would argue to people that they happen because it's humans that care about other humans, and they want to help people, and they're doing things to help people, and they would do it regardless of whether they did it for a religious reason or a political reason. They would just simply do it. Like, if you saw a house burning and a little kid up in a window, would you not climb a ladder through fire to rescue that kid?
Right.
I would. Like, I don't need to vote. I don't need to be like checking whether the house is a blue house or a red house. It's like, I don't fucking care. There's a kid up there that needs to get out of there.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point. Like, so much of politics is just veils that you can toss away and realize that they were completely pointless. They're just there for show. Like, getting shit done when it needs to get done, however you do it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I've also never been one of those people, even though, like, I suppose technically if I had to pick one side of the fence or another, I tend to lean left. But like,
yeah,
I'm not opposed to voting for something more on the right, because I do share some ideology with that side of the fence as well, even though it's really more four-dimensional than
it really is. Yes, exactly. And that is the thing, is the polarization, like pitting people against each other. Like, oh, you need to pick a team. You got to be part of this team or the other. Like, no, I'm part of the human team. I don't know who you are. Are you reptilian or something like that? But I side with the humans, and I care about the human condition and solving human problems. I don't know what you're doing up there, but you're wasting a lot of energy, and you talk and you talk, but you have no grumbas.
Schumann, play dog shot.
Yeah, but if you really care and you want to solve problems, like, we have to solve these problems on our own. Politics, religion, those things are not going to solve our problems. They will scream and jump up and down all day long about how they're going to make things so much better. But when have they? Show me the evidence. When has that happened? Just once. Hey, I'll be lenient. 30 years. When in 30 years has that happened once? Like, and that's, again, being lenient. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of issues that need to be solved. There's a lot of human condition problems that we're dealing with. And yeah, over 3 decades for politicians to not solve literally anything, yet every single one of them is a millionaire or a billionaire. And how what okay, so what is your goal? Is your goal to just fleece everybody and pocket everything for yourself, or are you out there to solve a problem?
Well, the bureaucracy is such a waste of money because you're spending so much effort and money on making sure the system doesn't change that you're completely overlooking solving the damn problem. Like, we have to solve the problem this way every time. It doesn't matter like which way would actually do it better, quicker, faster, cheaper.
Exactly. Yet we, like, oh yeah, this is the only way. This is the right way. And if you believe differently, well, you must be some kind of heretic or something like that. Yeah. Like, dude, do you actually have the goal of solving a problem?
And this is why, like, it makes sense to have tiny little pockets of democracy where people say, like, people who have a lot of empathy, like, they will tear up when they hear a sad story. Why not put them in human relations and, like, determining who really needs help or who needs a bit of help, instead of being like, well, you panhandled outside of Taco Bell, so we'll probably not give you an extra $1,200 this month. And you're like, fuck. Yeah. And it's just like, you can't treat everybody the same because everybody's story is different. But
very true.
But in the umbrella, at some level, that happens.
Yeah.
And you can't avoid it. But I mean, that's just how everything works. The butterfly effect. The only upward force is the butterfly effect, I think.
I would agree. Though if we can band together with a common goal of making life better for everybody, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense now, but
the only constant is that an action will have a reaction.
Well, yeah, and doing the same thing over and over and over again, just the thing that goes back to voting, this idea that, oh, you just have to vote for this side or that side, even though, if you look, like, it is public information, their track record, they have a 0% success rate of solving any problem. So why do we keep praying to these gods?
Well, in 2003, George W. Bush had a banner printed that said "Mission Accomplished." So I'm going to go ahead and say the 0 is bullshit.
Yeah, because the mission was accomplished. Oh man,
that's why so we're memeable. Still in a war.
That's so memeable. I think you've seen my Putin version of that.
Mission accomplished. That was, yeah. I mean, that I gotta take a moment and complain about red tape and bureaucracy in the workplace. There's this the whole concept actually of tracking progress is like, you set up all these metrics for things that don't necessarily follow the flow that you want them to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I work in an industry, and in a pocket of that industry that handles, I guess, for lack of a better word, the kinetic energy. Everything kind of flows through us, but we don't really specialize in anything.
Okay.
You know, like, and that's what I excel at. You know, that's my particular like way of being, is know a little bit about a lot of things, and that's, I think, why we get along so well.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. And why we can have great conversations like this. You know, like we have a lot of analogical thinking to draw. But that's not conducive to programs that track progress. It's like, is this thing done? Well, never. Like, if it's done, we're out of business. So, like, how do I mark this done? By X amount date that was like 3 months before we even started fucking working on it.
Man.
That's the nature of the business. Sorry. You know, like, that's dumb shit. Like, nothing bugs me more about my job than logging this shit. You know, getting the monthly email like, hey, please like mark off everything before the end of day Friday. And then you like mark off like 10 things and you're like, I can't anymore. And you just give up. And there's like 257 other things you haven't marked off, and nobody does shit. Even though they made it sound like they would do something, nobody cares because it's all bullshit and everybody knows it. That's my diatribe.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
Like where I work, we have a similar metric that we're measured on, like how many tickets you've handled.
Don't measure it unless you intend to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Why else would you measure it? I mean, I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing that kind of bugs me is
Jewish guys.
Oh, wait, is that no?
Is that racist?
Anti-Semitic? I don't know. We got Jewish friends, so okay.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm measured by metrics at my work, and my boss looks at those things and the ticket count and how many tickets you close and stuff. And she's like, well, you guys, you don't have the same workload as everybody else because you're only closing like 3 or 4 tickets a week, and they're closing 300 or 400 a week. And I'm like, okay, it's apples to oranges. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ.
They're not. So the help desk people, they're closing hundreds of tickets because it's user requests. It's like, hey, can you reset my password or something?
Did you turn it off and on again?
Yeah, it takes a couple clicks. They're also they operate entirely within one building, whereas we operate within a 200-mile radius. So right. It could be like all day to go do one thing. One ticket could take an entire day. Eastern Washington, the peninsula, Longview takes 4 hours round trip to go there and back.
That was my struggle when we owned a business.
Yeah.
Because it was just 2 of us, just like this show, just 2 of us trying to do everything. Yeah. And we would have all these on-site visits in like 50 miles away sometimes, right? And traffic ebbs and flows, and schedules are schedules. And then like if a repair took too long, it would fuck the whole thing up. And then everybody gets pissed off. And they're like, why isn't this technician here?
Yeah, because if you give somebody a window accounting for that unknown, they're going to look at the first time that you've sent them. Like, Oh, it's between 11 and 1, right?
Right.
11 o'clock and
No
1300.
matter what, you're fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't show up on the button at 11 o'clock, there's a problem.
Yeah.
I do have to say, like, it still blows my mind that we ran that business and had so many customers. I actually saw the other day a Rainbow International truck driving one of our early customers, which was a
I
shit
forgot
show of a
about that
customer.
one.
Huh?
Wow. I forgot about that one
Yeah,
already.
Rainbow International. I also saw a Codell truck.
Codell, dude.
Codell was our first customer ever.
Wait, oh yeah, they worked first.
Yeah.
Simpson was in there too, really early.
Yeah.
Man, that's so good. That's so cool. Like nobody knows what the fuck we're talking about. But unless you're from Tacoma
mm-hmm.
and like hung out on the tide flats. That's so cool that we could do that, and we had like local knowledge and the dynamics of our particular geography and stuff like that, and we were able to like start a business after I was like, oh, you might have cancer, and I was like, hey, Eric, you want to start a business? And you're like, all right, let's go to Wendy's tomorrow and talk about it. And then we're like, okay, let's eat some double stacks and draft up a business plan. And then the next day we started a fucking business.
That was, I think, July 5th.
Yep.
Of
PGT day.
2006, was it?
Yes.
Or 05.
Yeah, it was 2006.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we ran that thing for a long time, like
through 2 cancers.
Yeah. Oh man, but it just kept growing. Like, oh man.
And that's what government should be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's become the wrong kind of business. It's become that corporate business.
Mm-hmm.
But it really should be the mom and pop shop that knows its geography.
Which is why I think the whole idea of a lottery system makes sense. Because people say like, oh, well, you're going to get like some crack addict and they're going to be all weird in there. And I'm thinking, well,
but the country survived Trump. So
yeah, like we're all weird. Like maybe the weirdos need their moment to shine, to come in and be represented. Like if we believe in a representative system. Yeah.
What's his name?
Exactly. Oh man.
I think every state at least has a guy like the dude with the boot on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy that's on the ballot every year for something different, and he's got a fucking rubber boot on his head. Like sometimes I voted for that guy once.
Yeah.
I was like, he's the best option, actually. I do actually want to get removed from Earth on a spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm voting for that.
Yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, exactly.
Done here.
Well, and ultimately, community involvement is the way to solve things. We're not going to solve things. The ivory tower is ignorant of our plight. The politicians up there in Washington, D.C., the other Washington, they don't really care or understand what's going on here. Yet people act as if they do. Like, well, what's your evidence? Show me the money, Lebowski. When have they ever sided with the average person? Anybody, any politician, like D's, R's, red team, blue team, like when have any of them ever sided with anybody that is like ground level real people?
Yeah, democratic republics really tied the country together, man.
Exactly. Well, we might be in a Jeffersonian revolution coming up, but that's okay. Like,
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Donnie Trump.
Yeah. Oh,
Big Lebowski is such a good movie.
it really is. Yeah. Such a good movie. Now I'm trying to come up with a movie recommendation because that was the one that I was going to recommend. And you've kind of stolen my thunder.
I mean, yeah, like it's funny that we can relate the way the country operates to a goofy stoner movie.
Yeah, dude, where's my car? It is like, honestly, if I could sum up the US in a movie, it'd be Dude, Where's My Car? Or maybe Idiocracy, or a combination of the both. Yeah.
I've never seen Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh,
I don't think I've done enough pot.
It's an interesting movie. Yeah, it does kind of sum things up.
You do have to be high to get through it, then, right? Like,
well, no, I've watched it sober, and I appreciated it.
oh, okay.
Oh, we have another comment, by the way. Idiocracy. Yeah.
Well, it actually says idiocy. Maybe they're just calling us idiots. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we're the idiots. For
We're
believing.
auto-correcting on faith. Autocorrect,
like,
man.
honestly. Oh, autocorrect. Yeah. Oh, man. Today I saw the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So apparently now there is a tactical jetpack system that is real. Like, and this is not like, oh, this is some kind of CG thing. And no, it's like there's a guy that puts his hands down in and guides the jet turbines and flies.
I did that the other day on the Nintendo Switch. There's an SNES emulator, and I played Pilot Wings. I was like, wow.
That's a good game. That's a very good game, by the way. Yeah.
But yes, jetpacks.
And Idiocracy. Idiocracy is a good movie. Like, people look at that as if it's kind of like a parody of things, and yeah, it kind of is.
You know what?
But it is actually proper science fiction. It's telling us, like,
yeah,
where we're going. Like,
there's a moral behind it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, do you want your president to come out like a WWE wrestler? With like strobes and fucking explosions and stuff like that? Maybe, but I mean, is that really what it shouldn't be about? That ultimately, I would like to see the average person, just regular people. I don't want to see politicians. I don't want to see billionaires and stuff coming up there. I want to see a homeless person. I want to see a crazy person that, like, is talking to themselves all the time. Like, that makes more sense than what's going on right now.
We should KSM 3K Idiocracy. It's like watch it and comment on it through the whole thing.
Oh, we have another comment. War games. Yes. Shall we play a game? Yeah. Such a good movie. Oh my God. Yeah. And we're kind of in that space right now.
Really, we are. Yeah. Like, there's so few controlling such widely impactful decision-making events.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, especially when it comes to like nukes and stuff like that. I mean, those who know me know that I tend to make a lot of videos about nuclear war because I think I have thoughts about that. It's kind of important. Like we could very easily slide into World War III, where everybody's fighting. And back then it was like the tank was a new novel concept. It was trench warfare, bolt action rifles and stuff. And now it's like, well, we're kind of like lasers and drones and space craft and yeah, like, and nukes, like one false move and this is all over. Like, I don't think people realize how important this is. Like, we make one mistake, just one mistake, and everything you love is gone.
That reminds me, can I borrow your lightsaber for my trip to Germany?
Oh, yeah. What?
Well, my girlfriend has one, and I guess they're like combat ready. Like when they strike, they go.
Yeah.
So like, yes. I was like, oh, Eric has one. Maybe I can bring it. We could like have a like force duel.
Well, record video of that.
Hell yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That would be cool. Oh, yeah. She's pretty private on the internet though. We could blur, I think.
I think so.
Blur. We can blur things. Yes.
Yeah.
That would be fucking cool.
Yes, I agree.
We should point people to the Halloween episode from 2020, I guess.
I think it was 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Where we had a lightsaber.
Yeah. And what was it?
I knocked your ass out with a packet of Charmin.
It's toilet paper. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It was all like clang.
Oh man, that was so good. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't understand people these days, like being so concerned about what's going on, but yet so ignorant of what's going on. Like, do you not know what's Taiwan? At least do you know that? I know everybody is all about Ukraine right now, which is important. This is kind of the genesis of certain things.
Borders, I just see borders as silly because it's like, if you imagine borders as an invisible line and you see somebody like getting washed away by the riptide and they cross that invisible line, are you only going to save their life when they're on your side of the line? Or are you going to be like, nobody else notices them, I need to jump in now? Like,
yes, I would opt for the latter. Like,
yeah,
there's a human being. We are humans on.
You can't be so fucking bureaucratic about everything.
Yeah. Like, well, this whole nationalism thing, like, well, who cares what country you come from, what flag you wave? Like, we can all wave the same flags. Like,
the more people you let into this country, the more statistics you create for the rest of the world, where they're like, you know what? Like, everybody wants to leave here and we need people to like make things go. Maybe we better do things the way they do it over there. You know, like, let the people say what works for them and do that thing.
Well, and
you can.
You know, a long time ago in the US, that was the modus operandi. Like that was how things were carried out. People came from other countries, and that was a good thing.
Yeah.
We saw that as a good thing. Like, hey,
that's how we all got here. Like,
yeah,
even the Native Americans fucking walked over here
Yep.
from
Through the land bridge.
Greco-Asia, like
Yeah.
Greek fucking genes are found in Native Americans.
Yeah.
Greek Mediterranean people
Yep.
are Native American.
And back then there were no borders. It was just like, hey, I'm walking across some land. That's all that matters. Hey, I'm over here, I'm over there. Nobody like looked on a map and like, oh, am I illegal or not? Like,
right.
No, that was not like a thing that anybody concerned themselves with. And we should today.
These lines that people draw, people are like, Africans are the real Hebrews. And it's like, dude, it's fucking dirt. All of it's fucking dirt. We're all black people. We're all white people.
Oh man, that is a good message, actually.
It's fucking true. Like,
I wish I could put that in the intro. But you're right. That like, you know, it doesn't matter what you look like, how much melanin you have. Like, we're all common ancestors. Like, we come from the same people.
Yeah.
Like,
and it doesn't matter who was darker back in the Australopithecus days. It's not a fucking contest.
Yeah.
Like, first doesn't mean better.
Very true.
It depends on the question you're asking. Did that person innovate quicker? Sure. Yeah. Fine. Woohoo.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. You know, like, it's not that big of a fucking deal. Like,
it isn't.
White people aren't better than black people. Black people aren't better than white people. We're all fucking people.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, we're all fighting against the nothing that is the dark cosmos above us.
Yeah.
Like, we should be more concerned about that than what we look like, what our skin color is, our tone. Like, who fucking cares about that? Like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, you know, one rogue asteroid hits this planet and, well, we're done. We're extinguished. That is the end of life as we know it.
If you could create a probe that knocks the captain of a starship out and makes him live your life in 30 minutes, would you focus more on what color your skin was or what your experience on that world was?
Ooh, that's a Star Trek episode.
Yes, but it's also a great fucking message. Like, what matters more, your experience or your skin color?
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter what you look like. We shouldn't even, honestly, we shouldn't be good. There's too much focus on what we look like as differentiation between people, a focal point to fight over. Like, we fight over this shit, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what I look like or you look like. Any of my friends, like, I don't care. Like,
I'm going to go ahead and say, like, being a KKK sort of that skin color is bullshit kind of person is just as bad as being like, woe is me, my skin color has cut me down. You know, like, you're making excuses based on superficial shit.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Like, it is bigotry. It's like pointing to the
inward
differences.
Or outward, it's bigotry. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is, like, when you look at human beings, we have so much more in common than we have in difference. Like, we are the same people. Yes, I know biology and stuff. Okay, I'm going to invoke Star Trek. I'm going to have to do it. That one episode of Star Trek, TOS, where the one species was black on one side and white on another, and the other was black on one side and white on another.
Andromeda something or other. Andromeda effect, was that it?
Might have been. Something. But the thing is, like, when you look at it, you could, as an outsider, you can look and see, like, that's completely absurd. They're the same people. It's just like black on this way and white over here, and the other ones are flipped, and yet they're at war with each other. Why? Why would you fight over that? You're the same people, the same species, just, oh, there's a genetic mutation where one side is darker than another. And really, honestly, if you look at it on planet Earth, that is what we're dealing with. That is it. And yeah, I know Star Trek kind of condenses things in a certain way, but it calls out how ludicrous that concept of looking at somebody as being different because they look different.
Like, it's an allegorical story. It's
is
exactly the same as religion or politics. You've got a narrative that is being spread, and that's just how they tell it,
Mm-hmm.
And it could be true or it could be askew, but it's really hard to tell in the thick of things.
Well, and I guess it's important to ask the question of ask yourself, why do I feel the way I do? Why would somebody do this? Why is this happening? Which, those are dangerous questions to ask. I think you should not ask those questions.
Why me? Why anybody?
Oh man. Oh, okay. Okay, I should probably wrap things up because my person from work.
It's getting late.
It's getting late. It's getting cold. I'm building a tiny house, so that'll be a thing. I don't know if I have a video for build, but I will have a collection of pictures at least. Building an expedient shelter.
KSU.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you build a proper off-grid shelter for less than $500? I think it's possible.
Should have made a video of that.
I know. Well, I didn't have. I couldn't get my head cam working correctly. But there will be pictures.
Head cam malfunction.
Oh man. Well, I'm just hoping that this doesn't turn into World War III. The thing is, like, the reference to war games and stuff does concern me, because I know it's most people who are alive today don't remember World War One and how that happened and what precipitated that. But there are a lot of parallels. We're kind of on the cusp of another world war. And, the Einstein quote, I know not what weapons World War III will be fought, but I know that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. We're heading towards that. Like,
yeah,
the voting is so insignificant compared to what's going on right now. We should be paying attention to what's going on and engaging with people. Like, if you have friends in various places, like, engage with them. Like, we need to stop this before it happens, because World War One, we just developed tanks. Horses were the predominant means of locomotion. Now we have jets and drones and all kinds of stuff, and nukes are totally a thing. So, World War III could possibly be a nuclear war. I really worry about that. Yeah, just something I think about. definitely concerns me, and it should concern everybody. All of you, you should be concerned about what is going on right now, the interactions between countries and your own country and what they're doing and the plays they're making. It's dangerous. Like, it's a dangerous place, a dangerous game that we're playing. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that's probably a good point to wrap up on. I think you had to be somewhere.
Yeah, I do.
But holy shit, we touched on so many different avenues of thought just on the idea of how we vote.
Nobody else. Okay, I will challenge anybody. Scour YouTube and find another channel that is as epic as this one. And then come back and share it with me, because I doubt you're going to find that.
Well, we should have a conversation with those people.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. If you find somebody as epic as us, yes, we need to have a conversation.
Actually,
that'd be good.
One of our fans is possibly creating inroads for us to have a conversation with Aron Ra.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a fairly big name in YouTube and in certain circles, right?
And yeah, I'd absolutely love to have a conversation with him. Like,
yeah.
I respect the guy. I disagree on certain things, but agree on many things, which is, kind of how we do things. So,
yeah,
like, the conversation is what it's all about. Like, have a conversation.
And his perspective is totally different from ours. He's like down in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Things are way different in Texas.
Yes. Which I would like to hear that perspective.
Yeah.
Like, that's important. We should be hearing that perspective and sharing that perspective.
Yeah. People should understand that, like, if they're born in Kentucky, they might be a Republican. If they're born in Washington, they might be a Democrat. Like, it has a lot to do with your surroundings, with the people you trust.
Mm-hmm.
And the people you trust might be in higher capacity in one way of thinking or another.
Yeah. Well, if you're born in Utah, you might be a Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Before you're even old enough to know what politics and religion are, somebody has decided for you how you think.
Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, that's like its own episode. We should totally talk about that.
Pretty much all of us, that's the case.
Oh, shit. We should totally talk about that.
Yeah.
So that'll be the next one, I think. We should make it a live topic, I think.
We should, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Wow. Well, for those who are still here, I don't know, because I can't see the stats. Oh, well, you got a few people watching.
What, really? Fuck's wrong with you people?
Like 10.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
It's way past your bedtime, son.
Oh, man.
Well, what are you talking about?
The problems of the world know no timeline.
No. Shit's always getting worse, but shit's always getting better. It just depends on which side of the shit you're sitting on.
That's a very poignant statement, actually.
with a lot of use of the word shit.
Yeah. Huh.
Which
I don't.
is artistic.
Yeah. Oh man, that's really good. Well, for those who are still with us, thank you for sticking it out. Yeah. Well, we did respond. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments. Okay, we did respond to the comments. Okay.
Yeah. It was a quiet night in the house, but that's okay. Because the kitchen sink is always gurgling.
Yep. The sink is always running. Oh, wait, we have another comment. Always missed 18 because it came on around bedtime. Oh my God. The 80s. I would eat like cheese pleasers and cheese balls and stuff like that and watch the A-Team. I loved that time in the 80s.
I love the name cheese pleasers. Like
they were like Cheetos essentially, but just more fluffy.
Somebody at work today was bringing around Cheetos looking things, and they were, I forget what they're called, like banditos or banjos, or I don't know, but they were like the TG version. I don't know.
Huh.
But she was like, do you want some of these? I was like, no, I'm good. Thanks. She was like, oh, okay. And like nobody wanted to eat them, even though like visibly they were identical to Cheetos, just shaped differently. And we're all kind of like, I don't know.
Oh, that's weird.
Like, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does.
Like, oh, if it's not shaped like a Cheeto, it won't taste like a Cheeto.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, that's total fucking bullshit.
Oh, wait, we have another comment. I love it when a plan comes together. Yeah. Oh,
The A-Team was pretty badass.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like a bunch of different people with different skill sets coming together and driving a big black van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one of the coolest bands, too.
Yep. With a red fucking racing stripe. I mean,
yep.
You're not going faster than that van.
Yeah. And B.A. Baracus that hated flying.
Yeah.
But
they always had to like roofie him
with milk or something, right?
They're like, milk. Here's how you date rape someone. Oh, Mr. T doesn't like flying. Let's date rape him.
But that was like a gimmick in the show.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's totally okay to date rape people. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. A-Team like single-handedly like created rape culture.
Oh, well, I guess that's a good point to end on. Well, yes. Man.
People can discuss that in their own homes.
I'm getting verklempt. Discuss amongst yourselves. Yeah.
I want to be for one of the seasons with space.
Oh, man. Well, so for those who are still sticking out with us, thank you for sticking it out. Thank you for being here.
Oh man, if we could put an outro song, it would be the A-Team altered version.
Oh man. Yes. Holy shit. Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
It was like so overdriven, just like oh my god. So powerful though. Well, okay, I gotta take a piss. So I guess we gotta end the stream.
Army. Thank you for deep sink shelling with kitchen sink microscopy.
Oh man, that's so good.
R.